you ready for class? Welcome back to the Panic Room, everyone, and to another episode of Pax's Library of Horrors. And today we have a very special episode because we are doing what I think is our very first recommendation. And today's book was recommended to me in the comments of one of my episodes by Juan over at Plagued by Visions. Now, I have a feeling that literally all of you know who Juan is. If you don't, for whatever reason, his info will be down below. You should definitely go subscribe to him. He is probably one of the most eloquently spoken people I have ever had the pleasure of watching a video from, and he is incredibly intelligent. He does a lot of extreme horror and does it beautifully, I might add. He's the total package. You just gotta go hit subscribe. Trust me. So he recommended The Lonely Doll. And this is by Dare Wright, story and photographs. And I have to say, this book is probably our first one that the horror does not lie in the story. The horror lies in the pictures and the particular stylization, I should say, which leave it to Juan to pick out like just this absolutely wonderful, wonderful, beautiful book. And I have to say, I've mentioned in a past video how I find claymation stuff creepy. This gives me those same vibes. And as we go through it, because we're going to read it. We're going to read it. Anything that is recommended by Juan, we're going to read. So I do want to show you, obviously I'm not going to show you all of the photos, but I want to show you enough, especially with this book, because that to me is where the true chill factor lies. That true, like, something's not right here factor lies with this book is in the photography. So let's begin, shall we? Once there was a little doll. Her name was Edith. She lived in a nice house and had everything she needed except somebody to play with. She was very lonely. And you see, right off the bat, it is literally photos. This isn't illustrated. It is black and white photos. And like I said in the beginning, this is where, to me, the true kids' horror lies with this book. Because they are, I don't know, there's just something about them. You know, dolls have that very uncanny valley thing already. And to have literal photographs to go along with this story just adds a little bit more to the weirdness. Every night when she said her prayers, she pleaded, "Please, please, send me some friends." Every morning when she ate breakfast all by herself, she sighed and wished for company. So here we get one of the first pictures of her face. You see what I mean? Yeah? Very, very much that uncanny valley. If you are afraid of dolls, this book is for you. Every day when she fed the pigeons, she'd beg, "Please stay and talk to me." But the pigeons just ate and flew away. Then one morning, Edith looked into the garden, and there stood two bears. The big bear bowed. "You must be Edith," he said. "I'm Mr. Bear, and this is Little Bear. We've come to be your friends." So now we have, again, you know, still photos, but, you know, just more characters. And they're still, you know, they're dolls, right? Edith clapped her hands with joy. "You must have found me because I wished so hard," she cried. Mr. Bear gave her head a kindly pat. "Just wait and see what fun we'll have," Little Bear whispered in Edith's ear. She had never met any bears before, but she liked them at once. From then on, Edith was never lonely again. Little Bear was right. They did have fun. Look at her face in this. Because they're like chasing each other and playing. But look at her face. Is that not creepy? I felt that was creepy. Just something about her face. Of course, Mr. Bear made Edith and Little Bear do their lessons every day, but there was lots of time left for adventures. When they were good, Mr. Bear took them all kinds of interesting places. They went to the park. They went to the beach. They went fishing. Look at this. Look at the little bear with the fish. You know, and again, might I add, you know, a lot of times to me, the whole issue with claymation is that they have such like jerky movements, and toys have that same thing. So to me, that's kind of, again, lending itself to the creep factor. But when they were naughty, Mr. Bear had to scold them because they got too dirty or climbed too high. Yeah, look at this. Like an action shot. A little bear falling. And also the fact that the faces never change. There's no emotion here. You know, there's action, but there's no emotion. Again, uncanny valley. Or went too far away alone. One rainy day, Mr. Bear left Edith and Little Bear home by themselves. "Now don't get into any trouble," he said. "I hate rain," Edith grumbled crossly. "Why couldn't Mr. Bear take us with him? There's nothing for us to play indoors." "We'll find something," said Little Bear. "Come on, let's explore the house." They discovered a beautiful dressing room with a big mirror. Edith climbed up to look at herself and got very cross indeed. "My hair looks dreadful, and I'm tired of this old dress," she muttered. "Look what I found," called Little Bear. "A whole closet full of clothes. Let's dress up." And see, that's adult clothes. That is adult clothes. So it's like, the toys taking over the house? What's going on here? "Oh, let's," agreed Edith, "but first I must do something about my hair." She tried making it into a knot. That looked very grown up. "Try a flower," offered Little Bear. He snatched a rose from a vase. All the water spilled, but Edith didn't care. See, so they're like on a vanity here. So you see like the pearls and things like that. So again, this is like, they're in like an adult world, right? Then came high-heeled shoes and a ruffled petticoat and a hat with roses and ribbons, and Little Bear discovered the jewelry box. Finally, they stopped to admire each other. "All you need now, Edith, is lipstick," Little Bear said. "Oh, I'd never dare," Edith worried. "You know what Mr. Bear would say." "Who cares what Mr. Bear says? I don't," cried Little Bear. He grabbed the lipstick and scrawled across the mirror. "Mr. Bear is just a silly old thing." So on went the lipstick, but in the mirror, Edith saw Mr. Bear watching. "Just look at this mess," he said sternly. "These things aren't yours, and you know you're too young for lipstick, Edith." "I am not," replied Edith, "and I don't care what you say anyway. You're a silly." I have to say, for me, I was like, where does the bear get off treating her like his daughter? Like, anyone else find that weird? Just throwing that out there. "I may be a silly," Mr. Bear answered, "but I know when a naughty little girl needs a spanking." Little Bear couldn't watch. He was afraid his turn was next. And he was right. See, again, you have that look on her face. She's getting a spanking, but the face doesn't change. And the same thing with the Little Bear. "Now clean up every bit of this mess. And Edith, stop that crying," Mr. Bear ordered sharply as he left. But Edith went on crying as if her heart would break. "Oh, stop it," grumbled Little Bear. "Isn't it just like a girl to cry because she gets spanked?" "It's not that," Edith sobbed. "I'm scared." "Scared?" Little Bear snorted. "Scared of what?" "Mr. Bear's so angry," Edith wailed. "What if he goes away and takes you with him? I'll be all alone again." Little Bear didn't like this idea at all. "You stop crying, Edith," he coaxed. "I'll put all the clothes away. I'll even tell Mr. Bear I'm sorry." Edith and Little Bear worked hard at everything, and it was tidy in no time. They found Mr. Bear reading his paper. "Well," he said. "I'm sorry," Edith said softly. "I don't really think you're a bit silly." "Yes, we're sorry," admitted Little Bear, "and we cleaned everything up." "And we won't do it again," declared Edith. "Well now," said Mr. Bear, "in that case, I think perhaps we can forget all about it." "Oh, thank you, Mr. Bear," cried Edith, hugging him. "I do just love you. I've been so happy since you came to be my friends. Please, will you promise to stay with me forever?" "Yes, forever," promised Mr. Bear solemnly. And look, he's promising on her head. Again, just a little weird. "Forever and ever," shouted Little Bear, and they did. And our final little, like, happy, weird toy family. Guys, like I said, the story is very kid-friendly, right? If you're like me, I feel like you remember reading similar things as a kid. But this whole, like, photography thing, and then you have the dolls and the toys that don't change expression, it doesn't compute in the human animal, because when certain actions happen, we expect socially and emotionally certain reactions, like facial wise, things like that, and you don't get that here. The little girl's getting spanked, her expression doesn't change. The little girl trips, her expression doesn't change. You know, things like that. And then, you know, you add on the fact that, you know, while you're reading, you're, you know, inflecting all these humanistic traits on toys, which is common for children to do, but at the same time, you can't really make them human because of the whole, like, Uncanny Valley-esque nature, kind of the photos. I feel like you guys know what I'm getting at. So for the first time, I feel like we actually have a book whose story isn't where our horror or our creep factor lies. It's actually in the photos and the pictures that accompany it. So guys, what do you think? This was a very different one, I feel like, from the other ones that we've reviewed. And, you know, like I said, this was our recommendation from Juan over at Plagued by Visions, and it did not disappoint. It was remarkably different and an absolute wonderful addition to the Library of Horrors. I loved it. Tell me what you thought down below. And guys, thank you so much for coming back to another episode of Pax's Little Library of Horrors. Please, if you liked it, give me a like, hit subscribe. It would really help me out. And until next time, class dismissed.